Time now is 5:28, and we just learned the cause of death for a 1-year-old girl who died in Indianapolis earlier this year. This afternoon, the coroner's office tells 13 Investigates Maria Guadalupe Sanchez's death was an environmental heat exposure accident.
The baby was found unresponsive in the back of an SUV in May outside of an auto parts store on the east side. That makes Sanchez the 41st child in the United States to die in a hot car this year. Automakers announced this week that they will be taking action to try to help prevent these types of deaths. That sound could be a true lifesaver.
In fact, most major automakers have agreed they're going to add those rear seat reminder systems to prevent kids from dying in hot cars by the year 2025. It's really a start to keeping kids safe. But some parents who've lost children in hot car tragedies, they say they want car makers to go even further.
Our senior investigative reporter Bob Siegel is here now with a technology that they're fighting for. Bob?
It's a tragic story we cover every summer. As you just heard, 41 children have died in hot cars just this year. Now, dozens of parents are calling on the nation's largest automaker to make good on a promise made 18 years ago.
She was pronounced dead on the scene.
Last week, a toddler in Brownsburg. The month before, a 3-year-old boy in Evansville. They are among dozens of children who make headlines every year. Children who die inside hot cars. It's a painful tragedy Jenny Stanley knows all too well.
Words have not been invented to describe how it feels. She was so young when she passed away.
Jenny's daughter, Sydney, climbed in the family's SUV to get a Sunday school art project, and she never came out. The 6-year-old died of heat stroke. Now, Sydney's family wants GM to follow through on a commitment it made almost 20 years ago. This is a 2001 press release from General Motors announcing it had developed new technology to help save children trapped in hot cars. GM boasted of its sophisticated sensor to detect motion in the back seat of a vehicle. And it said it would install the life-saving sensors in some of its vans and SUVs in 2004. But 15 years later, that system has never materialized. A devastating reality for families like Sydney's.
Why did you make that promise in 2001? They didn't say it was in the works. They didn't say they were testing. They didn't say that they were working on it. There was no indication that it was not 100% ready to go. They need to follow through.
Jenny Stanley and 64 other grieving parents recently signed this letter to GM, urging the automaker to follow through on its commitment. In response to the letter, GM told 13 Investigates systems that accurately and reliably detect children in vehicles have not been widely deployed across the industry due to continued challenges with the accuracy of sensing systems, given the broad number of vehicle seating configurations and the varied positions of children in vehicles. GM did not answer questions from 13 Investigates explaining why the sensor technology it announced back in 2001 still is not in any of its vehicles today. But victims' families are continuing to fight, and this is what they're fighting for.
The system is set up to detect any type of movement.
Jim Smith is general manager of Terry Lee Hyundai in Noblesville, where vehicles like the Santa Fe have something called a rear seat occupant alert. The system uses ultrasonic sensors back here to detect motion. Let's pretend I'm a little kid. If a driver gets out of the car, watch what happens if the vehicle detects a little motion in the back seat here.
The first notification is the alarm on the vehicle. The horn will sound, as well as the lights will flash. They'll also get a text and an email to alert them that there's somebody in the vehicle. I think it's great.
Safety advocates say the Hyundai sensor technology is much more effective than dashboard messages that simply remind drivers to check their back seat. They say repeated messages like that are quickly tuned out. Right now, except for Hyundai and Kia, no major automakers offer the more advanced sensor technology to detect a child unattended in a vehicle. Families like the Stanleys hope that will change. Andrea?